Welcome to another episode of our podcast series. The topic of our podcast is India, Taiwan, and China, the new Tech Defence Faultline. I'm your host, Dr. Ulubi Bora, Distinguished Fellow, CENJOWS. Today with us, we have a very special guest who needs no introduction, Lt Col JS Sodhi. He is the founder editor of Global Strategic and Defense News and the author of the acclaimed book, China's War Clouds, The Great Chinese Checkmate. He frequently delivers talks on geopolitics and defense issues across India and abroad, appears on 94 domestic and international news channels, and contributes regularly to 73 Indian and global print media platforms. Colonel Sodhi, it's an honor for CENJOWS to have you with us today.
Jai Hind, Dr. Lupi. It is my honor and privilege that I am appearing on such an eminent podcast for one of the world's most relevant. Thank you so much for inviting me for this.
Thank you, sir. So I would like to start by asking you a first question. If India is to strengthen its technology and the economic cooperation with Taiwan, directly or indirectly, how far do you see will test China's red lines, considering the fact that we already have unresolved border disputes?
Well, Dr. Lupi, we have to understand one thing that even if we think that we should not have close relations with Taiwan and that will appease China, that is not going to. Because if we look from the Chinese point of view, they are very clear with their military aims. Their first and foremost military aim is Taiwan, whom they're supposed to attack in 2027. On 3rd February 2023, William Burns, the then director of the American intelligence agency CIA, stated that China will attack Taiwan in 2027. This year, on 31st May, Pete Hegseth, the American Secretary of War, said that China is preparing aggressively for a war for Taiwan. And a little later, on 25th June this year, the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, said that the way China is doing its military preparations, it has Taiwan on its arms. We have to be very clear in one thing. China is clear on its military aims. We have to prepare ourselves. We need to have a close cooperation with Taiwan. In fact, in my book, which you mentioned, I have written the time has come that India, Taiwan, and the other littoral nations of South China Sea should forge a military alliance. Because only a written military alliance can keep countries like China at bay. So, even if we think that by not establishing diplomatic relations with Taiwan, as is the state today, not actively engaging with Taiwan, China will feel happy, it doesn't matter to China. What matters to China are its military aims, and for that, we have to be prepared. And like I said, the best way of preparing is have a military alliance. One big example that comes to the mind is Russia has not attacked a NATO country just because of one factor. That is, there is a written military alliance between the NATO countries. So it is time India should proactively engage with Taiwan, not to worry about the red lines of crossing regarding China, because China is clear on its military aims. And after Taiwan, the next military target of China is the Tawang district of Arunachal Pradesh, the northeasternmost state of India.
That's a very nuanced explanation, sir. Thank you. So, going to our second question. While TSMC of Taiwan is known as the global semiconductor manufacturer, how do you think India can expand and strengthen its ecosystem of the semiconductor sector at the same time avoiding the geopolitical pushback of India?
Right. It's a very good question because it is pertinent to the modern times. As we are aware that today, in anything and everything electronic, there is a semiconductor. And the bulk of the semiconductors of the world are manufactured in Taiwan. In fact, the high-end semiconductors, which are regarded as 7 nanometers and less, Taiwan manufactures more than 85% of it in the entire world. And the good relations given that we have with Taiwan, we should fructify it to the next level. And the next level means we should encourage manufacturing of semiconductors in India. The government of India has launched some very good initiatives. Three of them were launched last year in February. But then in April last year, the chairman of TSMC said that India doesn't have the requisite technical man. So we need to work on this. You see, the technical manpower primarily comprises of people who are trained in science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So that is how the semiconductor manufacturing is done. So we need to have more of such people who are trained in such fields. And for that, we need to encourage the IITs, the NITs, the local engineering colleges. We need to take it as a national mission mode because the more we are able to harness the manufacturing of semiconductors from Taiwan, the more comfortable we'll be because we also have to understand India is training at a two-front war. General Upendra Dwivedi, the Chief Army Staff, said on 17th March that two-front war is on India is no longer a possibility, it's a reality. Unquote, all timelines in public domain point towards China and Pakistan waging a two-front war on India anytime after 20. So it is this 5-year period we have where we need to encourage more and more semiconductor manufacturing within the country with full Taiwan assistance because they are the proven world leaders. And given the fact we have good relations with them, we should take it on a bigger scale. Because the more we have semiconductor manufacturing manufactured within the country, the more we will be less dependent on the global supply chains from this. Because at the time of war or critical time, your domestic supply chains only come to your aid, which is assured. As far as China is concerned, like I said earlier, for whatever we may do, China will never be happy with us. There's a famous proverb in the Chinese language that says, in a mountain, only one tiger can stay. For China, the mountain is Asia. The tiger is regard itself, and any other tiger, be it India or anyone, it would not want to be on the platform that it is in. But then we don't have to worry of this factor. You see, as we grow up in life, as we succeed in life, more and more people become against us. But that doesn't stop us from excelling in life. Same thing, we have to work what we feel is correct. And also, one point I would like to make we don't have to berate about this in public forums like these, especially the electronic TV India channels. We see the history of how Taiwan became a global manufacturing hub till around mid 80s. There was nothing about semiconductors being manufactured in Taiwan. But slowly they picked it up from America, and today they're the world leaders. Before the world could realize in a blink, they have become the global leaders in semiconductor. Same thing we have to do, have our policies, have our plans, work on it with clear time deadlines, and let the world announce our arrival rather than we announcing the arrival, which we more often than not do on the electronic TV media channels, let the world announce our arrival. I think it's a fantastic opportunity given the close relations India and Taiwan.
Thank you, sir. Indeed, actually, maintaining that fine balance is very important while we try to shape the chip sector, the semiconductor sector of India in the upcoming years. Going to our next question, sir. How can India and Taiwan collaborate in terms of modern military technology, especially drones, AI-enabled surveillance systems, at the same time without triggering any kind of direct conflict with China? What do you have to say?
Well, conflict with China and Dr. Lupi is already on the horizon. Like I said earlier, it's a matter of time. After 5 years, it can happen anytime. And the various timelines to various pointers to that which is not in the scope of the discussion, so I'll leave it out. But what is important is not worrying about those timelines at all, focusing on the work we have to do. Today, China agreed has got a lot of military capabilities, but then 5 years is not a smaller time. Given the close cooperation and relations we have with Taiwan, and Taiwan has been excelling not only in semiconductor manufacturing, they have been producing world-class drones. They have been producing such software which, when AI enabled, gives a lot of advantages. They have been in the forefront of technology. So we have a great, I would say, window of 5 years where, with their support, we can excel in this field. And like I said earlier, we don't have to needle China. We don't have to trigger China. We should focus on what is to be done. And it is achievable, given the leaps by which Taiwan has progressed in various softwares and various, ways of electronic warfare. Because see, like I said earlier, on China's horizon, the immediate military target is Taiwan. So Taiwan is preparing itself in a big way. We can harness their learnings. We can cooperate with them, incorporate their technologies. And I think a lot of effort is going already into this. Not much is in the public domain, but it is. It's a lot of effort going on. I find that the relation between India and Taiwan is on a very positive and a good note. And I think it can be taken notches upwards. But then we need to have the manufacturing built up in India, which we should do with the Taiwanese support. So I would urge through your reputed channel, because your think tank is one of the global eminent think tanks. More and more Indian entrepreneurs should come forward, tie up with Taiwanese companies. Today, the government of India is giving a lot of support for entrepreneurs, for first-time businessmen to start their manufacturing. Today, India needs this. When the two-front war happens on India, which country is there to support us? That is all matter of that time. But today, we have a window of 5 years where, with the Taiwanese support, we can build up upon knowledge.
So basically, innovation it is, which can shape the relationship between two countries. So coming up to the next question, sir. In what ways do you think India can accelerate its naval and airspace capabilities in the Eastern Seaboard so that we can have some kind of influence in the Taiwan Strait?
Well, the Indian Air Force has authorized 42 squadrons of fighter aircraft. Today, we are down only 29. There's already a talk that with the Russian president visiting India, there may be a deal for the Su-57 fighter aircraft. We'll see after the visit how this particular aspect goes. But first and foremost, we have to build up our efficiency on the fighter air. Secondly, as far as the Navy is concerned, we've been doing very well. Just recently, the Chief of Naval Staff, Admiral Dinesh Tripathi, said that 55 warships of India are being constructed in various dockyards in India. So we have a good and a robust Navy, and with a lot of progress already going on. But how much can we be able to help Taiwan in case of the Chinese invasion? That I'm not very sure. I'm not very sure for the reason we do not have a military alliance. Till the time things are not in black and white, it becomes very difficult to assure of any nation will we be able to support them on. So, like I said earlier in my first question, we need to have a military alliance not only with Taiwan, but with all the South China Sea littoral nations who are affected by China's aggressiveness and assertiveness. So, this military alliance will put China on a back. It is combined power which is difficult to engage rather than piecemeal power, which China, whose plan is to, whether attack Taiwan in 27 or the two-front war with Pakistan on India for 2050. All these things, and included in between the Taiwan war and the two-front war, is China plans to seize or annex the Spratly Islands. So it becomes very important. First and foremost, we need to have a military alliance between the South China Sea littoral nations, Taiwan only. US, it's very rich chances are a little less as of now. But for the others, yes, we should do. Secondly, we also need to fill up our deficiency of the fighter aircraft on our offering. It is absolutely low as on date. Our Navy is doing well, but then with the two-front war looming, we need to increase more and more construction of the warships. In fact, as we talk, Dr. Lupi, as we talk today, Two aircraft carriers, 50 nuclear submarines, and 200 warships of China are being constructed day and night in the six naval dockyards of China with a deadline of completion as 20. So to match this, we have to increase our construction on the warships. And if it's 55, we need to increase to at least 70 to 80 in the next 5 years with the deadline of being constructed as 2080. As far as Taiwan is concerned, they're already working on the Navy because they are the first imminent threat where they are going to face from the Chinese side. I think, all these things can be put into easy help once there's a written military alliance between India, Taiwan, and the little nation of the South China Sea.
Thank you so much, sir, for these lovely insights. To my understanding, it is today not about a geopolitical rivalry, rather a technology-driven strategic reset in the Indo-Pacific. So for India, we need to really build a technological autonomy, which would probably be very crucial, the role we play in the Indo-Pacific. And with this, I would like to thank all our listeners for joining us today. I, Dr. Ulupi Bora, sign off. Until next time, stay informed, stay strategic.